Hey everybody, welcome back to Beginner's Mind, Art Mind. This is the final journal in that stack of 4 that I had done the art journal flip throughs on. And this is my process journal. This was from 2021 to 2022. So today I'm going to do the flip through on this one. And like I have done in the past ones, I will do the flip through where I talk about each page first, and then at the end I will do a flip through to music with no talking. So let's get flipping. I hope you enjoy the video. So the plan I had for this was that I was going to dedicate this sketchbook to contour drawings, sketches, and drawing exercises. I thought I would exclusively be doing those things in this sketchbook. I never stick to those plans, I should say. Just some little contour sketches over here. This one thing about this, I love these soft cover sketchbooks. They're just very non-intimidating. It's thin paper, great for sketching, but graphite is very smudgy on these. I did learn that. I don't know if you can see, but graphite smudges a lot. So this one says, plein air chickadees painted on the deck on March 10th. Peter's birthday. Oh, my brother's birthday. Just a contour drawings. I was on a jag of doing interiors for a while, inspired by the Room Portrait Club on Instagram. And I don't think these specific images were from them, but I had just done a few of their paintings that it inspired me to do more interiors. Just some pine cones from the yard. This was my husband sitting on the couch one evening. And my little boy Nico. I think this was a sketch from Debbie and Brian Miller's flower workshop. They have a great little workshop that they give. They look them up on Instagram. I'll try to remember to put a tag on a page, a link to their page. It was a really fun floral painting workshop. That was a sketch too, preparing for a painting of theirs. This was the Forsythia in watercolor last year. This was a sketch I started of a house that I was going to paint, and it doesn't look like I ever really went anywhere with it. Oh, these were some thumbnails, value studies of a painting I wanted to do. And I did have trouble with the values on this one, even in the final painting. I should have sort of stuck with that plan, but I think I did it differently. This was just a picture from the internet. It might have been on Sketchy. Just more sketches. Little farm. Oh yeah, this was a little farm that my husband and I drove by, and I've wanted to do a painting of this for a long time. I think this oil painting was looking at it from a different angle. These were inspired by Fairfield Porter paintings. I was sketching some of his paintings. This was just a doggy that was cute on the internet. This, I believe, was either a Fairfield Porter painting or a Nell Blaine painting that I sketched. I believe that was Fairfield Porter. This is the rocking chair in my living room, which I actually did go on to do a painting of. And it might be in this next sketchbook that we're going to look at. This is my, my mind just drew a blank. I can't think of what that plant is called. But cyclamen. And my boy, Nico, probably got the glare from the graphite. I think this was a sketchy picture. If you're not familiar with Sketchy, it's an app, and they have all kinds of people upload pictures, photos of themselves. Some of them are just fabulous, and you're free to draw any of them. And there's my boy Nico again. He's such a sweet boy. This was actually a sketch that I did before I did the final painting for Room Portrait Club on Instagram. Practicing cow faces. My hubby sleeping with one of the dogs. It looks like that might be Toshi. Both of the dogs are brothers, so they look a lot alike. Testing out Tombow markers. This was a sketch for a painting that somebody was going to commission me to do, and then it ended up not working out. It was a CD cover. These were practicing. It's horizontal and vertical in the landscape. Charcoal smudgies. This was a sketch I did in charcoal down at our pond, and I never put fixative on it. Look at my hands already. Another sketch down at the pond. These were plein air sketches. This is plein air down at the pond, and I believe it's gouache. Another sketch or painting of the pond in gouache. I think this was somebody from Sketchy that I drew. This was planning out my plein air palette last year, my little Transin palette. This was planning out the colors that were going to go into it last year, which was very helpful this year when I went to refill it. I think that's the same guy from Sketchy. Little thumbnails. Just an interior sketch with pen. Just a little landscape, trying to figure out value study. This is a sketch of a Picasso painting, and it was Picasso blues in his blue period. I did this sketch on 3/12/22, and I did this when the war in Ukraine started. I think I did this when they bombed the hospital with the pregnant women. Yeah, that was really a difficult thing to witness. So, contour drawings of sheep. Sketch of some landscape. My plant again. More sheep. The candles on my living room table. Just drawing different things that I was going to use. This is the back of my Nico's head while he was sitting on my lap. I think this was inspired by one of Emma Carlisle's Patreon sessions. I'm not sure what inspired this drawing. I don't think this was from Sketchy. I think she might have been from Sketchy. This was just trying out some new markers and seeing how far I could go with layering them. This was just playing around with some dried up markers to see if I could get any interesting marks out of them. This was another Sketchy. Oh, this might have been a master copy. Usually I write that down, but in these type of sketchbooks, I usually don't have any plan to show these to anybody, so I'm not as good about recording. These are just really places that I go to do very quick, spontaneous sketches or plan things out. You guys had asked me to show some of these sketchbooks, so I am doing that, but I may not have things recorded as well as I would in a different sketchbook. This was learning how to use colored pencils and markers together. More value studies. This was our Christmas tree in the living room. It's the wood stove behind it. This was a master study. Don't remember who. And it was done with the graph tint, water-soluble graphite pencils. Those were kind of fun to work with. Oh, this was actually a plein air sketch using the markers, and I think I was using Tombow markers, luminance colored pencils, and Posca for the bright orange pops. This is a sketch of a still life that's on a shelf in my living room. Just drawing contour drawings of regular items. This was a sketch of a painting that I was considering doing. I think this might have been those graph tint markers, not markers, graph tint pencils, water soluble pencils again. I love the muted colors of those. This was the poinsettia with our Christmas tree in the background, and I did end up painting this. A list of paint colors. Probably somebody I was watching was giving their what they keep on their palette, and that always interests me. This was a plein air sketch for the Strata Easel Challenge, so that would have been the January 2022 challenge of a hawk that around, well, it would have been in January, came and just kept sitting in the trees, and he kept looking in our windows. I think he was fascinated with our movement, but he would sit there every day for a while and look in our windows. Just playing around with mixed media again. Testing out colors of new markers. This again was a combination of, I was going to say, probably Tombow markers and luminance colored pencils and maybe some Neocolor 2 crayons. Just swatching out Caran d'Ache luminance pencils. I love these. I'll put a link to these in the below the video. I actually have a link I can put below the video that has all of my favorite things, and if you click that link, it brings you to a page that has my favorite sketchbooks, my favorite pencils and pens and paints, and I really love these pencils. This was fooling around. I had just gotten the Ecoline brush markers, and I was fooling around with those. They're so vibrant. We have a coyote that was coming around for a while. It was most likely a mama that had pups that she was trying to feed. So she kept coming by, and she would stop and stare at us when we were outside. And I think she was after our chickens, and I think she was trying to contemplate how dangerous we were to her, or if it was worth her going after the chickens. She was so beautiful, though. This is more playing around with the mixed media with the colored pencils, Tombow markers, and Ecoline brush markers. Oh, this is Emma Carlisle's drawing club on her Patreon, where she posts these pictures, and this was an archaeological dig. This was the things that had been dug up on an archaeological dig. So there were all these little strange items, and she times you. You only have so much time to do each drawing. So it's really challenging, but it's fun. Kind of come up with some goofy drawings. This was one of the sites of the dig, I think. I forget how long we had. I should have marked it down. But you don't have very long to get the drawing down, so it's kind of fast and furious. This was one of the archaeologists searching for items with a metal detector. That was one of the items they found. This was one of the sites where they were digging. This was so challenging to do in a short timed period. This was a badger. Oh yeah, this was a badger that had dug up precious coins. So that was kind of fun. This was a cave where they found some of the items. The archaeologists found some items. This is just, this was testing out Turner's Japanesque, I'm not sure how you say it, gouache. And I struggled. I love Turner's acrylic gouache, acryl gouache they call it. I really have been enjoying that a lot. I've done a lot of paintings with it. The Japanesque is different. It's a completely different process they use to make it. It's made with powdered pigments. It's a little gritty. The colors are muted and a little chalky. So this was more challenging, and I really haven't used it much after I did my first few paintings. This is a colored pencil drawing I did of my husband. Oh, this was actually, the underlayer was Tombow and the Ecoline pens, and then I kept building layers up so that eventually it was the Luminance pencils. And it was one of Emma Carlisle's challenges on her Patreon to do distorted perspective. So he's got the really big feet and then his little tiny head back there with the dogs. That was a fun challenge to do. That's the good thing about Patreons. This is the first Patreon I had joined, and I'm actually kind of looking for another one now to stretch myself, because they do have you do projects that you wouldn't necessarily do, and you discover new materials. I was never big with working with markers or colored pencils before Emma Carlisle's Patreon, so I really did learn a lot about it. That was, oh, she does a lot of cats, so I think that was, and a lot of these were done, if you've seen my video on my art nest when I'm not feeling well, all of these actually were created in my art nest in the living room on days that I wasn't feeling well and couldn't get up to the studio to paint. This is testing out different markers that when I had gotten the Luminance and Tombow markers. I'll really try to remember to put a link to the Art Nest video in the show notes, because I really think it's valuable. It's valuable to set up an art nest and have a little place where you can create carefree paintings when you're not feeling well. And then that's it for that one.